wanted to say Happy New Year to all the apes out there and everybody to the Pepe on Sol community. Have been watching this one since launch. So these guys went live on Solana December 23rd. And again, within the first 24 hours on their launch, it's pretty crazy to think it's going into Christmas Eve too, right? They saw over 6 million in volume, hit their initial all-time high of around 1.4 million, and then saw a little bit of a retracement. And as I said, when we were kind of just, chatting in the lead up to this AMA, Caesar said to keep an eye on this one. He said, I've been watching the community after their launch, and that it's pretty impressive the way they've stayed active. So it has potentially a chance here to turn around and take off going forward. Well, I had my eyes on it over the weekend, and I think you guys were just around 300K when they pushed up to about 1.4, 1.5. And again, anybody in our community, that's when we put out the announcement that we're having an AMA. So you guys would have been able to kind of see some of the craziness that ensued, right? Like these guys with some of the Twitter mentions, they had some good buys come onto the chart, and it just kind of popped and they hit their new all-time high of around 3 million, still sitting in, just over 2, which is phenomenal. And like I said, they haven't really marketed, and marketing starting to come this week. The community has been really solid on the raise. They've been active in the Twitter spaces that they've been in, and they've been trying to hit different influencers across the space on their replies. So yeah, it's been, again, the Pepe name has really a lot of weight, especially within 2023. Well, it's a new year now, and these guys kind of started the year with a bang, especially on the Solana chain. So as always, guys, with any project that we come in, bring in for an AMA, just make sure you take the time to jump into their community, listen to the recording, listen to what they have planned upcoming, and do your research. Nothing that we discuss here is financial advice, but definitely have been impressed by what I've seen so far from this community. So yeah, John, with that, I'll throw you the mic, and we could jump into her.
All right, man. Yeah, thank you, Maurice. I appreciate all those words. That's really humbling with the community that we have is on fire. I My name is John. I joined the space about 4.5 years ago. It's been tough. Had a good 2021, good 2022. It started to go downhill, but took a beating on the way down. And on the way down, man, I joined a lot of projects and a lot of tokens, joined a lot of communities, and some of them really well. Of course, I got a crow right here. But a lot of them, the communities were real strong, and honestly, they had, I like to call it the autistic vibe that people in the space like to joke around about. But they had that autistic vibe, man. That just, it was fun. It made crypto fun, and like Pepe on ETH for me was that. It definitely made crypto fun again. I just gotten rugged in so many different directions, and at the end of the day, man, it turned out to being the bad dev. And that's what was kind of a little bit different with this project. So it was my birthday, ironically, on the 23rd of December when it launched, and I saw a notification for 50K, on Solana. And no joke, my name is Pepe John on the street. I've been Pepe John for like 15 years now, since Discord days. So it was, Pepe's always resonated with me. So I saw a Pepe meme, man, and it was on Solana, and I knew Solana's been cranking. I went ahead, checked my Phantom wallet, and luckily I had some NFTs that I had sold and was able to entered in, and the dev was in the chat. There was a couple admins, and we were spamming VC because, like you said, it out of the gate. I mean, it was ripping on 23rd, 24th, and so he opened the VC, and when he did, it was an awkward silence, and there was about 50 people in there, and I kind of thought to myself, like, you have that point of like, do I want to kind of grab the bull by the horns, and do I want to like step up and really push this, or do I think this is like a bad project and smoke and mirrors like normal, and something with it, man, just with everything pointing me to this way, I went ahead and chimed in, and another guy did too. And we ironically got the dev, he said, hey, John, Pepe John, your mod. And that's all I've ever talked to him, other than the contacts I've had in DMs, which have been flawless. I mean, that's one thing I'll say. Anon Dev, very similar to how Pepe ETH, was formed. It was, Paulie had, consistent communication, and kind of the same way with me. They're still cooking in the background, you know, uh, just to, that was kind of how I got started, and got in the position where I am now. It just became where I became the voice of the community. Everybody would joke around in the DMs and like, hey man, we love your voice. You're a great speaker. And honestly, I mean, 4.5 years in the space, I put so much time into it. My Twitter isn't huge. I've got like 4.5, like almost 5,000 followers, but I don't really focus on that. They're all genuine, like, community driven people that, we just raid and chill, and that's what we do. And so, I mean, for me to go on, I ended up put my neck on the line, and, as far as my name, and just kind of halfway dox myself, at least in the space, says a lot. But, so that's kind of where I got in the position that I am. And I don't know if you had any questions from that, or you want me to go ahead and dive right into the general trading and activity and kind of what led us up where we're at
Yeah, no,
today.
I appreciate your kind of your background, and it's always
Yeah.
important to know because a lot of these times when projects come up, especially within the meme coin space, it is often a community lead or a community member who will come on the mic
Mhm.
and represent in these AMAs. So for me, it's definitely important to understand like your journey and what caused you to feel like this would be the one that I want to kind of jump in and say something about, and like what makes you passionate about the project. So definitely. Appreciate that background, John, and kind of how you came into this one. And yeah, would love to transition from that into a little bit more about the narrative. I mean, Pepe is it's definitely a household name by this point, but with the growth of Solana and the volume transition from ETH to that chain and these other layer twos recently, it's not a shock to see that you guys had the kind of 24-hour start that you did, right? So I want to kind of go back to that and then work our way forward to like what we saw this past weekend, from a community perspective.
Perfect, Maurice. I appreciate it, man. Yeah. So with that, I just went ahead and said, let's do it, man. It's Pepe. The narrative to me is the hottest meme. I felt that way with Pepe on ETH. I've got a bag of that. I definitely think we're going to see frog season this bull run. I mean, it's Pepe ETH made a pump. I mean, it went up to what I think 1.7 billion in 3 weeks. And with that, obviously there comes a lot of drama, and you try to control that, and that's but the vibes, man, is what for myself was a narrative, man. Like watching all those guys, like you said, that like I've never done this. Like I've never done AMAs. I literally have AMAs booked like every day this week, and I've got multiple more that they're trying to do, and it's like I'm
Yeah,
doing them on my lunch.
welcome to the gauntlet, my friend.
I'm literally doing a Maurice on one of them, or the next three that I have are going to be like in between my lunch break, and luckily I got a little bit of leash at my job. I can if it extends out or whatever, I can it's not a big deal. But yeah, man, so it's like I'm pushing. I believe in this community, and honestly, the devs and stuff like that. I just got really bullish on it, and the trading activity for myself on Solana has been undeniable, really undeniable, especially when you see projects bridging over entire communities, and they're just it's eating the ETH volume up. I mean, there's no lie, and I mean so much so that Vitalik put out the roadmap, and I think that that's kind of like a prayer of like, hey guys, I'm still here, because honestly, if he doesn't, I think Solana is going to take the forefront, and if that's the case with Pepe on Soul, that was kind of my narrative. The thought of the narrative was like, man, these vibes that we have already with Christmas and everything, and I'm actually in a position that I have direct communication with the dev, and I know my genuineness and my intentions, and I have nothing but the best intentions to do everything I can for the community, like and keep it transparent as far as my communication with the dev. Like I've had no problems with that, so it's just really, man, this is honestly, Maurice, like I'm pinching myself, man. Like you said, it's a gauntlet, and like you got to navigate it. And like I feel like we have a dev and a team that, ironically is very similar to Pepe on ETH in a sense of like how they did the narrative. The contract on Pepe ETH begins with 6.9 and ours ends with 6.9. Um, that was really ironic to me. I think it's the same token supply, which is 420 million. We launched at 2K market cap, and we got up to 1.4 pretty quickly. And from that, the trading activity, and that's kind of where I really kind of stepped up, as far as like taking the lead with my communication with the devs in the back, because they kind of were like asking me like, is that what you want to do, and this and that. And So what we were dealing with at the time was, we had funds, some funds, but basically I out of pocket from the dev, and we were basically just trading soul trending, and they just kept doing soul trending, and you know how that goes, man, especially on Solana. Got a bunch of ETH guys that aren't used to it, and they got the bots now, and they're just trigger happy, and they're selling candles, and it's just really aggressively ranging. We had low LP, so I had thought, other projects I've seen in the past, I was like, why don't we try to get this ratio up? We decided to form a whale group, because my thought was, you got what it is you got one big guy, two big guys that are pitching out a candle, scaring the little guys. And it's a shame because the little guys matter, and those are the ones that really do push. They're the ones that come to the spaces. They're the ones that come up and in the spaces tell you about their conviction and their feeling for Pepe, and like their hope and their, like hearing that in Pepe ETH, man, like just it gives me chills, man. Like all the people I heard come up and say that they made generational, wealth, and they made life-changing money, man, like some of them almost brought tears to my eyes, because it was like we have went through so much in the last 2 years, and just all this stuff, and to see a Pepe meme come out, and to come out on Solana, with the trading that was so aggressively, it was like, all right, the only way we're going to fix this is let's make a move. And with that, we thought, why don't we go ahead and get all the big guys into one room and make a whale room for the top, 50 guys. Let's try to build those same vibes that we have, with Pepe ETH, and that we have in our community in the main chat. Let's try to get them all in the same room and see who bites. Some people might not want to because they don't want to disclose what they have. And matter of fact, I had some guys in DM that were kind of, really concerned about that. And we worked it out and we got them in there. We're definitely looking at token gating it in the future. Just to, I mean, you're not going to be able to protect, people can have multiple wallets, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to build was a camaraderie between, the bulk of the supply, to really stop fighting over each other and aggressively selling. Why don't we hold and look at the LP, and let's shake the Jeets, as they say, and like go ahead and add the LP. So the dev out of pocket, when I told him that, he literally out of pocket pulled 10K out, put it in LP, and then wrote up a long guide and explaining about LP farming and the benefits to adding to the liquidity pool, and like what it can do and how the rewards pool works. And yeah, guys are making money now, and we stabilized the chart. We're pushing up new highs, and it seems to be working really good. You know, it's for me, the community and just the way that these guys are working together in there. We have something different. It's definitely something special, and I really feel like it could be the biggest coin 2024 on Solana without a doubt. We normally it's a bad player that like a bad mod, a bad dev. Like we only have two guys that have any rights to really do anything like that. Any kind of harm like that. Everything else is just delete, shield, and that's it. And it's working, and we're doing well with it. But that's the reason that we do that. It's just to protect the community. It's not, out of, we don't trust people, but we're building trust. And with that, it takes time. And the same thing with the whales. But even, my thought was, even if we got 6 or 7 of these guys to play ball with me, and not swing the chart, like that could be 10-20% of the supply, and that matters. That's a difference in producing a higher high when you have volume income with whatever money you put in. And being a zero tax coin, a meme coin, you know my focus was, the whales, I mean, they're funding everything. Like they want to buy this, they want to do that. I think they paid for this AMA, out of their own pockets. So, shout out to them for even like believing in us to do that. Like that's awesome. I mean, it's amazing what's going on there right now. And we got a few of them to play ball together, but so far it seems like it's going really well, man. The only thing that I'm focusing on now is what I'm doing right now, which is they can handle if they want to work on getting volume or whatever. But what I'm trying to build, and I know everybody wants me to, because they have told me, and they like, they think I'm real genuine in how I speak or whatever, is that I want to build the same thing. Like after this space or after this AMA, like I want to go open up a space, and I really, really, really want the community to come up, and talk and tell us about like your conviction with it. And again, it comes with people's bags pumped. They're more amped, they get excited. So, you got to time it and do that in that way. So I really think that we could produce, immaculate vibes, like Pepe ETH did, and that's my goal, Maurice. Like that's 100% what I'm here for, and that's kind of where I'm at and where things are at up to date. I mean, I can go through. We're listed on CoinGecko, waiting on CMC. There's been talks about NFTs, kind of just like not anything that's to benefit, like it's the floor price is gonna go up. More of my idea behind it was a PFP idea of like, why don't we just get something that we can just give, just as a Pepe on Sol, make a Pepe and then, throw some mild traits on it or something, and just something that's unique to that person, and drop it to each, holder. And if they bite and they put on their PFP, great. If they don't, I mean, it's whatever. But I think that you might see a lot of people get on board, and ultimately I want to really get everybody together, and just share stories and talk about crypto, and what we went through the last 2 years, and let's make 2024 the best year of our lives. Like we all have that opportunity right now, like 100%. So that's where we're at with it, Maurice. I know it's a mouthful, but I hope I covered a good bit of it for you.
Did, and kind of the origins and some of those connections with like the supply numbers you mentioned within the CA, and or sorry, the ending digits and starting digits with the contract, and then the supply and everything. It's definitely good to have that like tie back to the origins of like the Pepe on ETH, that really kind of brought some light and some fun back in the meme coin space early this year in April. So don't want to get negative, but that project also though was shrouded with a little bit of a
Yes.
black cloud with the
Yeah.
the blacklisting and whatnot. So that was, and as the cap went down from that all-time high of 1.7, that's when you saw the narrative of that project shift to be more like
Mm-hmm.
the team sold. People were selling the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that it kind of it hurt and it sucked, right? And then we saw a bit of like a almost like a 2 month period where nothing was really taken off, right? Like utility plays weren't doing that well, meme plays weren't doing that well, nothing was really doing that well because it felt like the space almost got liquidated a little bit through that whole Pepe situation from those buying in later. So, like, how are you guys maybe able to capture that audience who had a negative taste left on Pepe and do it
I
the right way,
I
right? Like,
feel, yeah, I feel, Maurice, honestly, and I'm being 100%. I don't want to name names, but for myself, at least, when I was in the community, it was I was in there about 2 weeks, and the first 2 weeks, man, David was in there. Like the vibes were beautiful, man. It was wonderful. I'll be 100%, man. Like Polly, like I don't do the way that people talk to people. Like I don't disrespect women. He did a lot of that, and I think that really that's for myself when I saw the paradigm shift. Like it definitely split the community up. It made people that were about it for
yeah,
him,
we don't need to go too deep
yeah.
into the
No, no, for
I'm
sure.
not
No,
a I'm not
I
a fan of Polly personally, so I
yeah,
can
no,
back up
exactly.
anything
Yeah,
you say on
I'll
that.
back
And
up on it. Yeah. No, and
um
basically that's kind of what I do in VC. When I kind of touch on the points that are like ties to the homage of like the past Pepe devs, it's not so much the devs, it's more so like it's somebody that felt that same conviction, like anybody can write a contract and put 6 9 at the end of it, so it's nothing special like that. I just was trying to tie the narrative of like somebody sees the same potential, or has that idea, and with the devs, the way that they worked with me, at least, I just got the keys to the Twitter like recently, like a day or two ago, and they were super protective of it, and that's how they're operating. Is like everything that they've been handing over has been very cautious, and cautious to myself on a zero tax coin. I don't know why, in a sense of like, other than they want it to succeed, and that's what I have to believe, and I feel based off of my communication with them. But yes, I definitely know that those there is a fork in the road if we're going to follow the same path of Pepe ETH and be successful, and that's going to be where we branch off, and we just continue to focus on those vibes, and just focus on the spaces, and just growing. And I think that if we can not get a bunch of influencers, taking the show, I guess you would say, I think that we could keep it genuine people, like, because that's what I really, bonded with in Pepe ETH, was all the guys that, like myself, like right now, that don't really have experience doing it, that are stepping up and doing it, and watching them blossom into what they are today, was for myself like very inspiring, and that's kind of what I'd like to see happen here. I'd like to see after the space, we have a bunch of guys come out, and they do. We got a bunch of speakers that are always come up and they hang out with me in the VC. And yeah, I just try to answer questions and just try to be as helpful as I can. I got guys in the DMs that are Google translating talking to me because they can't speak English, and we're walking them through how to buy and just things like that. And just trying to really just open up the doors to as many people to come into the community as we can, because, that's ultimately what's going to help us is, we need to have the community is going to push this, not Pepe John, not the devs, not the whales. Like ultimately the community is going to outweigh any caller you could get, is going to outweigh any marketing you can do. Like the community, if they really just get together and keep pushing and all believe in the same thing, I think we can do it, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to achieve here. And so far, I feel like it's going really, really well.
Yeah, and again, I didn't mean to, didn't want to cut you off or like make you feel like you weren't down the right path, because I think you
Yeah.
100% were
Mm-hmm.
with how that happened. Because yeah, my feelings on that exactly were the same. Like
Yeah.
it almost seemed like, these people who, and some of them didn't even talk about that early. Some people were coming in at 10, 20, 40 million and then acting like, they were. And
Yep.
this is my issue with
Yeah.
Caldy, was like, he
100%.
was Pepe. And I'm like,
Yep.
bro, you
Yeah.
aren't a, a
Exactly.
community. Like you're not.
Yep.
I don't
No.
care.
No, I
Right. Like, so
totally agree, Maurice.
I 100%
That,
agree with you there.
yeah,
But I had to
that's,
kind of cut it because,
yep.
the
No,
way
I
that
get
guy
it.
operates, if he hears he's
Yep.
being talked
Oh
about,
yeah.
he's going to come after you
Oh
and
yeah.
find you on the street. Right. So,
Yeah.
uh,
100%, Maurice. No, man, I didn't mean to touch on him, and I, yeah, like we're not gonna have those vibes with Pepe on Soul, man. Like just the name right there, Pepe on Soul, like it's got soul. Like we're gonna treat everybody like we got soul, and we're different. Like it's definitely different in that community. Like if the whale group, man, like the fact that that they're arguing and fighting over paying for stuff. Like I was setting up and scheduling AMAs and stuff, and like I had to pop in, and I'm not a big fish, man. I'm definitely not. And I had to ask for money, and I was like, hey guys, like I want to do this AMA. Do you guys want to chip in? I mean, dude, it's 2 seconds, like literally 2 seconds. And then I have a guy, hey man, how much more do you need? And it's like, no, I don't need it. Okay, I'll get the next one. I mean, like that right there is because they know, like if they can push this as well, like and help support it, like that's going to push it even further. And I mean, I used to think, Maurice, like you're going to laugh, I used to think that whale groups were just a bunch of guys that were like calling out tops and lows, and like, all right, I'm going to buy here, sell here, dump here, all right, you pick it up down there. But oh man, like much respect to the whales, man, in the space that I definitely probably have been a little bit negative to back in the past, man. Like, you guys really, really, really bring a lot to DeFi, and like really bring these projects to the multiple hundred millions, because supporting, market caps and just really getting us out there. And I'd, yeah, man, respect the whales, man. Like they like to swing and they like to do their thing, but just hodl. Like we're not stopping. We're not going to go anywhere. And I really think Pepe on Sol could be the biggest thing, on Solana. If Solana continues to maintain the volume that it is, it's inevitable to me, man, that, there's ideas of all sorts, man, to make a bridge to, like you could do anything. Like it's, there's a lot that with Pepe on Soul. There's so many ideas going on in the background, and it's just a matter of just trying to fund them all. But we definitely have an advantage, I think, having a lot of guys that are same minded in the same room and kind of transparently can see like a wallet or a multi sig and can work together. So I think that was my goal with it, and I think that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback with it. I have some concerns, that long term, and that's kind of why the token gate. But again, I still think for it to be successful and for it to work, it's there's got to be a sense of trust, and it's, and I think that with that comes, when people do sell, going in the chat, f the whales and why are they doing this, and it's like, for myself, I tell everybody in the chat, I'm like in the VC, like honestly, guys, like doing that, like telling them, like F the swingers and stuff, they're just gonna swing on you harder. Like the best way to do it is talk to them like a human, like literally, like just speak to them like they're right in front of you, even though who knows, they might be, and just say like, guys, like we're here for a bigger thing. Like look at what we have. Like we have guys that are pushing, doing stuff spaces during their lunch breaks. Like we have guys that are coming out of pocket. There's been no funny business from the dev side whatsoever. So I definitely feel good about that. Um, and the communication is still there. It's definitely pulled back. Like I'm not as much in need because I have more of the keys. So it's like I don't really, he just like popped in yesterday. He was like, wow, the fucking chart's pumping. Like, what's going on? So it made me feel good. Like, man, yeah, we're doing it. Like we're doing it. So I shout out to the whole community, man, for supporting me and just in my amateur efforts of what I'm trying to do. I feel like I'm doing a good, like a relative good job. I feel like some things I could improve on, but I think for the most part, everybody appreciates my honesty and my, like genuineness. So, yeah, man, I really think that we have something really special here.
Again, I agree. I like your candor and like yeah, you definitely seem genuine. So I mean, it definitely connects to people as they come into the voice chat or hear you maybe from different communities. So it is important to have that feel and that vibe. I did want to walk back a little bit, right? Because you talk
Mm-hmm.
about no funny business and none of that, which is great because if you talk about the amount of
Yeah, I know.
volume that they saw in the first 24 hours,
Yeah.
like most teams, and again, it sucks to say it, but
Mm-hmm.
like a lot
It
of
does.
teams, a lot of, you know, plays in the space would have taken advantage of that. And I want to talk about the fact that, a weekend, you guys double your all-time high. You had a crazy weekend run up, and obviously the community saw, watched, followed, and the vibe stayed positive even after the retracement with like that crazy first 24-hour volume. So I kind of want to go back there a little bit because yeah, we've seen, you've probably been in the plays. I've been in
Yeah.
the plays where you see so much potential and all of a
Yeah.
sudden like the telegram's gone. You're like, what
Yeah.
the actual fuck?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
so
Like
like let's just
PTSD, bro.
yeah, let's walk through that because obviously with you guys
Definitely.
doubling your all-time high a week later, people have found,
Yeah.
that trust.
Yep.
They've
Yeah.
maybe watched the play, they've seen for themselves over time, as I always recommend people just watching for even a day or two. Even if you lose a few X's, you're going to save yourself so much PTSD over the longevity of your career in this space. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's go back to kind of the origins and what you've
Yeah.
seen and why you feel that you guys were able to achieve what you did this past weekend based on
Definitely.
your kind of start point.
I appreciate you, Maurice. I appreciate you. Like you literally hit it right on the head, man. Like the instantly the chat's gone or that's the signs that we're looking for, right? Like when you first get in there, because that's how it was when I first got in the VC. It was like, man, this thing is pamping. Like what the heck? Like I got in at 50K and like we're already at like 650 or 7 or something like that at the time. And that's like when I finally got mod and I'm like, all right, but it was trading and yeah, I want to say I was probably sleeping when it did a pretty significant dip, but I mostly saw the ranging like, I think the lowest it went was about 3, but from 1.4 was a pretty big pullback. And that's when I first kind of started eyeing LP on my end, and just, without even thinking of like, oh, we need to add, but just thinking of like, why is this chart swinging so hard? And yeah, for myself, I was like, is it the debt? Like just kind of like, like in my mind and just kind of, thinking of all the bad scenarios, right? Like, cause that's what usually happens. And like with this, man, it really, it just seems like, they were doing a lot of soul trending and like, when they were doing that, every time they would pump, get a slot on soul trending, like it would pump to, back up to a mill, push back down and yeah, we just grinded through Christmas and they people stuck with us, man. They believed in the narrative and it was funny. Yesterday we were in the VC after the Kid and Walt show and I actually know I think it was after the Caesar call and when you announced the AMA. We had like 50 people in the VC and like they were coming in. Yeah, man, I faded this. I aped it on the 23rd, but I mean, we all know like Solana, like if the coin's there 3 days, more, like you're good to go. Like not good to go, but like that's standing the test of time on Solana because usually it's like you say, like one pump and then the devs start pulling their money back out. Like, and it's sad to say, but that's the case, and that's why I feel like guys, like we got something special here that like you have as far as I've dealt with and am dealing with as far on the dev end, which I don't really need anything from the dev at this point. I mean, like whatever he cooks on the back end on his own is good, but this is a meme token. Like I'm not looking to be like make this a call coin that we're gonna have to do like marketing every 5 days or 2 days or it's not bad to do a little bit here and there, but ultimately, man, like it's Pepe. And I think if we can get the vibes immaculate like they've been, like it's only gonna continue. And it will, with more people to come up and help me and be more of a voice of the community, because it wasn't just one voice, like you said, like these rolled up in there at 40, 40 mil, and like they called it at a mill or whatever, and it was like they were just, we all know what they were doing. They were farming, they were grifting, and it was just the whole vibe was not the way that we want it. So I think that what I'm aiming to do, and I'm hoping to be able to do, is to just get people to understand and that we have all like went through hell in the last 2 years, man. Let's turn this shit around, man. Like this is the one. Like I will give you 150%, like every single time. Like I'm literally out here on my phone with an extension cord so I can be away from my 5-year-old that most of the time, which he came out a couple times and I was hoping he wouldn't interrupt, but he's, just to try to get a quiet space, man. And so yeah, that's kind of what I experienced with it. But the LP injections really did the ticket, man. It really helped us stabilize the chart. In doing that, when the dev did that move for myself, I was 100% conviction at that point. Like and I was like, cool to do AMAs and spaces and put my Twitter out there, because for myself, having him do that and like go ahead and pull the 10K out, I feel like devs, they don't need money. Like they're full stack developers, like they're loaded. Like honestly, for them, it's a ego thing. And that's kind of what my thought was with it, is like, I built this, like, and that's kind of why they're protecting it, because it's a zero tax coin. It's like, what, I don't understand unless they have bags, but like I said, the trading, we've seen significant wallet diversification, like, is beautiful. Like we definitely have good distribution, and like our holders are going up daily. It's just the market cap. Yeah, like I don't even know what we're at now, but I know that we were doing pretty well. And like I just shout out to the community, man. Like this is literally gonna be the biggest thing on Solana. Like I'm telling you, not financial advice, but you are gonna have 1,000% of my effort. And let me tell you, if it ain't this one, it's gonna be no more for myself. Like I'm not, so it's all like we're gonna take this all the way. It's Pepe on Soul, man. Like Pepe John, and that's just, I feel like it's a calling, Maurice.
It's great to see that you're putting yourself out there, and I would love to have you kind of break down, some of the funding aspects, right? Because, zero tax token, a lot of the time that is sometimes a hesitation for
Mm-hmm.
larger buyers or whales, right? Because they
Yeah.
know coming into the play, they may have to fund or push, over time, and that, it sometimes becomes a bit expensive if you don't want to almost hurt your own position on the chart by selling tokens to, transition funds and then pay for stuff that way. So yeah, just wanted to talk about that because I know that's kind of,
Yeah.
if you guys keep marketing
Mm-hmm.
consistent, keep the,
Mm-hmm.
the eyes on the project, that's
Yep.
kind of how plays have taken off in the past. So
Yep. I'll tell you, Maurice. Honestly, with the zero tax coin and being a meme coin, I definitely I wasn't too much with Pepe ETH. I didn't know too many ETH callers. I wasn't too familiar with, I didn't follow them or whatnot. So I don't know how many culture calls they had, how many paid calls they had, but I feel like we're definitely marketing. I feel like a little bit aggressive, not I don't know what theirs were, if they were culture or not, but I don't think they had a Caesar call. You know what I mean? Like at this low of a market cap for sure. And it was just funded by the whales. But I guess that's kind of what the breakdown for myself is, and the whales are all in that group. I mean, they're set on a billion market cap. Like they're all like, we can get a billion. There's no reason. We hold a chunk of the supply, and like if we just hold and work together, like we can do this. And they're making money on the way up, so they're funding it. Like I thought them buying this and doing this, like this morning they were doing other stuff that they're setting up. It's like it's crazy, man. And one guy said, he's like, I pitched in this, 450 on this, but it was well worth it. And I think he said on the Caesar call or something like that. But it's, at the end of the day, like they're doing stuff and they're seeing like, okay, this is building higher highs. Like, and if they continue, and I'm telling you, like the whales we have, like we're gonna, the VCs in there, like that's only going to just continue to just build that camaraderie and that trust. And I really think that's going to help fund this, ultimately, because that's what, we're going to need, right? I mean, we're not going to, the dev does, he could surprise and do whatever, but I'm not counting on him to do anything at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at it like what we built, like this is, the motto is going to be like, are the whales on, and they are, they're the most based whales I've ever seen. Like, so it's just a special thing, man. It's definitely a diamond in the rough. It's ironic, you don't see it every day. So there's definitely some points that, like you said, like they're like, yeah, that's kind of, how are they going to do this or that? But it's like they're doing it, and we're doing it. We're doing it now, and they're scheduling stuff. So if we can continue this, and like you said, continue the marketing, continue the spaces, and just push socials, and just everybody do their part, I think this is something that's going to really blossom, man, into something pretty big.
Like, what have you guys been doing to engage with the community? Are you guys using any tools to help with your rating? Like,
Yeah,
what
we're using the Shield, just the Shield bot. With and we're posting links, but we got a couple guys that are reached. I know that a couple of the guys are doing. We did a couple meme competitions. Basically, just that is a part that now that I have the keys, I'll be fully transparent that that was not fully as active as I would have liked it from most communities, but that's kind of where they ended up handing it over, because they said, I was told that the devs were predominant in the space, and that they don't have the time they can't keep up with it the way that the attention that it needs. So they kind of handed the keys over. But that being said, I still even have, I need help with that, so I'm kind of in the process of, I got somebody else that has a login, and we're going to really start to try to amp that up, and like I said, run spaces daily, and really try to start getting the tweets out and the retweets, and focus on kind of getting a laid out schedule for anybody that kind of has access to the Twitter, which we're going to keep that super minimal, um, just out of protection of the community. But I think that if we can, dial that in and get more engagement from X, because that's definitely where I will say that we're kind of lacking. But that's just manpower. That's not like, not caring. It's just trying to prioritize things, and just not wanting to give out the keys to people, and not wanting, just protection of the community it's just a balance. So I think that if we can do that, which we're going to work on, just try to engage more with the community, and hopefully, we get the engagement back, and we can just keep trucking.
I like it, and Shield's a great tool. I love what those guys have built out over there. I'm pretty close with that team, so yeah, no, big fan of that. Just really helps make new people coming into the community able to interact and participate and engage, help you guys on on those raids without having too many different messages, kind of confusion within what you're trying to actually push out. And it comes across a lot more professional, I think, that way as well. And it does show. I mean, if you're, for example, if you just joined the Pepe on Soul community, and you saw these guys slap down raid instructions with like 100 likes, 50 reposts, and then all of a sudden within 3 minutes the chat's unlocked, like that's a pretty
Yeah.
good sign, right? Like that's a bullish sentiment from in the activity level of the community. So I do love those tools and that's why I asked. So great to see you guys are already set up. Also, you mentioned that you're pretty loaded from an AMA perspective this week. So just touch on some of the outlets that you guys are trying to utilize there.
um,
Because I know the last week you didn't push much marketing, and this is really your first round that's going out.
yeah. We just I honestly, I gotta see, let me write in the whale, so I don't even know. I know that we got Binance Live with they're just little, like one of them. Wales, can you guys help me out and give me the schedule for the space? There we go. All right, looks like we got Crypto Detector, and then Crypto 5 partnership is one of them, and the other one is the Binance Live space, which is on Wednesday, and that one is with what is it? Camp. Binance Live. I apologize, Maurice, man. You totally caught me off guard, man. I didn't have these my DMs in order.
Don't
So
worry about it, man. Just if you need a couple minutes
yeah,
to gather
yeah, yeah,
those, and then
yeah.
we can
I'll
jump
get,
back on and touch on that later.
yeah, touch back
No
on it and I'll get
issues
back to you.
there.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do is what are you doing to maybe engage with the community from more of a content creation standpoint? There've been videos put
Yeah.
together, any songs that you guys have, like any community anthems, like that type of thing.
That yes. What we are doing is we have a few guys that are daily kind of, doesn't seem like they're fully doing it AI. They're kind of doing a little bit, off the cuff or whatever, and really making, the Solana logo stand out and just kind of really resonate, with the Pepe in the background, or incorporated in it in some way. But we definitely are having a few guys that are just meme creators that are just creating art. We have a meme Telegram that people drop, the memes in. There's definitely not a lacking. Excuse me. They're not a lacking of that, of the memes at least. But because that's what it's about, is creating those and having fun. I know that we had a few, actually quite a few guys that we're looking at as far as making videos. I want to do an anthem. My thought for an anthem. I saw a Pepe on Soul GIF with the afro on it, and I don't know what it was. It was on a disco floor, but that song of like Soul Man came to mind, and I'm like, man, if somebody in the community can make an anthem that uses that I'm a soul man, and like incorporates Pepe in there, man, like I think we got a banger, I think that would be. But yes, I'm definitely in the process of like going weeding through the DMs and seeing who's actually has good content and who doesn't. And yeah, so I'm kind of at the point, honestly, Maurice, like this really just today with all the scheduling and stuff, I'm definitely at the point that I've got to start delegating some stuff out, to be able to give the proper attention to certain things that I'm trying to do. And that way I can be 100% with my delivery on things, and representing the company, or not the company, but the community. Um, but yeah, it's a process, man. Like you said, it's a gauntlet, and I'm trying to learn. I got to get my laptop, fired up, and get that going, because, yeah, mobile's not going to work, it's just a little bit tough, but yeah, I
I
mean,
know,
we're
and I
just
mean it's an interesting learning process, right? As you go
yeah,
from a community member to
a
more
lot harder than
like
I
an
thought.
active. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I started in December 2021 with the AMAs kind of full time, and Buck, who's been my coordinator and runs his own channel now, he's been with me since February. Because yeah, same thing. Like it was probably a month overdue even when I brought him on. I was just way too overwhelmed with everything, and yeah, you definitely need help, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
and it's
tough
that
to
thing. It's
kind
a
of manage
balance,
the.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
it is.
you don't want to get the keys out. You're like you've been burnt so many times in the space. It's like, man, it's like it's tough, man. But I'm really feeling good bonds with a lot of the guys in there. And I've definitely got my eyes on certain people. Like we got a strong community. I definitely know that, and I'm just very protective of it because I've been in that position so many times. But it's definitely growing at an exponential rate that yeah, I got to start spreading it out a little bit. But I think the community sees that, and they see that I don't stop, and I think they know that I'll get it. I'll dial it in. They all are thrilled with I mean, at least uplift me and make me feel like I'm doing a good job. And I just want to continue to do that. I just want to keep, I'm for here for whatever they want. Like I'll go whatever direction the majority wants. Like I'm all about polls and like fairness, and like it's not going to be all up to the whales. Like if there's decisions to be made for the community, like we're going to make it a poll in the main chat. It's not going to be just the whales voting on it. So that to me is important, because everybody matters, and that's where you know for myself, I hope that I'm welcoming for people, like by having the BC open, and keeping it open. And sometimes it's silent, but I'm just waiting. If somebody pops in and says something, I always hear it. I'll go answer the question, and I think that's the stuff that the community appreciates, and I think that that's we can keep that up and get more help and more people seeing what we're trying to do. I think we can dial in some of these loose ends that are kind of questionable for some people. You know what I mean? And I can
Well,
update you on that that one that
beautiful.
Yeah, it was Grow Club Institution. So it's just a Binance Live. The small little guys. They got like 25,000 or something like that. And then I think the other one had, I forget, it was like 200,000. So we're just trying to get as much out there as we can. Obviously with that you got to try to weed them out, but we screen most of them or all of them, and the ones that we went with, they seem to be on the up and up. And if we could get some, it's just another recording, and another opportunity for somebody else to hear us and learn about Pepe on Soul. And it's just, for me, it's just about putting receipts out there to show like that we are doing stuff every day, and we're working and we're trying to grow. And like when people come in and go when, it's like, well, like, what have you done for the community today? Because at the end of the day, it's a community project, and that's what I try to emphasize to people. But you got to balance that too. You don't want to become aggressive and like raid, but ultimately you want to make it fun. It's like, do it with the memes, like, let's go, have fun with this influencer and let's all rate his tweet or try to ratio him or, stuff like that. And I just, I don't know, Maurice, I mean, the fact that we got, the Caesar even, solace, man, at that speaks volumes to me, because I've in the past, been a mod and always like, let's get Caesar, and in a couple instances it's like a beautiful coin or whatever, but just he's like, oh, hit me back at like 7 mil or hit me back at 10, like for him to take it at that low market cap, man, really made me feel like he sees what we're doing here and sees the communities like really, building and coming together. And I think that when people see that the community's kind of taking the front seat, that they kind of can understand that some things, you know, um, aren't quite, dialed like they should be, in a sense. But I think for the most part, man, that we're doing pretty good. The devs definitely laid a really good foundation in the beginning. They went and did the CNC. They did all that listing stuff, like, before they handed everything over. So it was, when I joined it, like, they had everything was like bam, bam, bam. The first day, it was just constant deliveries of the normals, the things that you want to see, but yeah, so that's kind of where we are with it. But
And with regards to like, I think for the most part, we've covered a lot. You've hit on it. I've hit on it. Community is definitely key. You've recovered pretty nicely. The activity, the turnaround times, like, the reposts and likes on everything that you guys put out, it's quickly met within your rate bot. Just in the terms of what I've seen on, a post that I put up. I know your community's been rating it pretty hard since it went live, and yeah, it's really impressive. Now, with it being, 0 tax, the one thing that I think I've seen some people asking about in the audience, and I would maybe throw this as the one community question to you, is there something that's been maybe leaked internally in the Pepe community yet as like a secret or hidden utility, or what's the plan to potentially generate revenue and this plays into my earlier question, almost reduce the pressure on the whales or some of the bigger holders to feel like they need to carry the load.
yeah, for there's definitely been a lot of ideas thrown out there. As far as the tokenomics and the details of them, we're not, we don't have them released yet, but we are definitely, NFTs have been spoke about, possibly doing, and potentially, for configuring a way to like uh, do that, where potentially a percentage of it would bleed into like a marketing wallet or LP of such, or and to reduce the pressure from the whales. But my hope, and I think that I think that we could, in long term, is like reduce the pressure from the whales, is like the more the community pushes and does the raids, like you said, and like really pushes and just kind of gets out there and speaks, and just shares their stories and their vibes, man, that's what's gonna, I feel like, reduce the pressure. Because I can tell you that when Pepe was going, like, I really didn't, it just seemed like it was just straight pure FOMO. Like, it was like everybody was just going in. It wasn't like, oh, he called it or he called it, or it just seemed to be organic. And I really, I guess that's kind of what I'm looking and hoping, and what I'm feeling, this community is doing so far is. But the whales are dead set on a billion, like, and I honestly, they're definitely consistently and they've all mentioned, because they're LP, they added to the LP, so they're all profiting. Ready, please, I'm on the phone. They're all profiting from the LP, injections and things as such. So I think that that's kind of what for themselves is some of the funding. What they're kind of like looking at it in a sense now. At least that's what's working. But long term, the hope I'm assuming is going to be more community steps up with. I know that we have a game developer that's in the community, so there's a potential there. It's just about really having these spaces and getting the community to come up and because at the end of the day, it's a zero tax coin community token. Like the community's got to step up and let us know what they can do, and with the resources with that, we can, a lot of these ideas that are coming about could be funded, minimally with if we just had some of the actual developers or such that are like in the community, that would save a big portion of the funds. So, that's kind of my hope is to maintain the community just building together and evenly contributing, what their resources are their abilities. And I think that, that will help reduce, that pressure on the whales. Cause I totally get what you're saying. Um, you can't, they're not the devs, but at the end of the day, I think they get it and they see and they've been, but you can't expect that, and you can't plan that they're going to stay there forever either. So I'm definitely keen on continuing to look at the NFT idea. I know that we're going to talk about it in the VC. We're going to talk about it in the VC this evening. Some of the guys are already talking to their contacts on it. There's a lot going on that honestly, just because I've been focusing on this stuff, that there's a lot of moving parts that I know that a lot of guys got a lot of really good ideas. There's been a couple ideas for like maybe like a potential trending bot, of such, there's impossible to get soul trending. Like it's really impossible, but you could make a Pepe soul trend, or Pepe trending or something, Pepe is Pepe. Everybody knows Pepe. So if there's a way to build a platform, there's this, somebody brought that idea up, it's just, I think that there's enough of the community that loves Pepe and understands that it's a community token. And when people are making money, man, they're willing to like offer help in their services. And I think that's going to be where we really going to reduce the pressure in time, though it won't be instantly. But
Think that's a pretty good plan. So I was just reading through a few DMs that I was sent from community members throughout
I
the
know the
day.
vibes.
I've been yeah, I think we've covered off most of the topics and most of what I've seen. Again, I try and make sure I keep these discussions that are more community based tight because they're a lot easier to listen back to, especially on the playback and on the YouTube side of things. So, any major, we touched on some of the marketing activities. I know I mentioned to Rax I'd set up a space for you guys as well moving forward. So we'll touch base in DMs about that in
Okay.
the future. I think we're taking this week off unless it might be tomorrow night. I haven't checked my DMs, so I need to see. Could be tomorrow night or it's next Monday, so we'll see. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, again, seems like you guys have a pretty loaded week, and with anything like this, I always suggest for people just to jump in the community, see what the vibe's like, see how active they are when something gets dropped, and with the Shield bot active, how quickly they close that out and get the community chat back up and running, and community contests, songs, anthems, always a great way to kind of galvanate everybody and get everybody working towards kind of one goal. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what the week looks like for you guys over there at Pepe on Soul. But anything we missed or any big shout outs or announcements the community or the whale group wanted you to drop before we close this official recording out?
No, I mean, as far as I definitely want to shout out the community. For me doing this, man, like it is so out of my comfort zone. I mean, I've gotten better and I'm getting better, but like the love that they show me, man, like really, it encourages me, and it's helping me push through it. And I think that I definitely appreciate, the people that come in the VC and speak, and just shout out to the whales, man, for even like listening. Like, I mean, the fact that like we've got 35 or 36 of the like some of the biggest holders in the community in one room and like working together, man, it's beautiful to see. And I really think I just appreciate it, so shout out to you guys, man, for everything that you're doing. Shout out for the opportunity to have an AMA with the legend, Maurice and like Caesar. Like it's an honor. So Yeah, man, that's pretty much it. And just stay tuned, and just we're not going to stop. Like, this community is on fire. So starting the new year off with a bang, and I'd like to just carry it all the way through. So thank you for the opportunity to come on here and have the same A with you.
Seems like again you got a lot of joy there for the community, a lot of fun. And, like I said, I've been watching this one over the weekend. The charts definitely responded nicely to the activity and the engagement you've seen. And yeah, like it kind of just blew up yesterday and, consolidated a little bit around that 2 million mark. And, it's a community you want to check out. Seoul is, a place that more and more people are coming to. The volume has switched out. So yeah, man, outside of that, just have a great rest of your New Year's first day, and enjoy some time with the family, and then we'll chat about that upcoming space. But yeah, really enjoyable. You seem like a solid guy. Seem like you definitely enjoy your time you've spent with this community, and it's nice to see you were willing to take the time to jump in and speak on behalf of the Pepe on Soul community. So yeah, with that, we will officially wrap up the recording on the AMA here with Pepe on Soul.